There he is.
Ooh, all right.
World's best bartender right there.
Is this the Celestial?
Thank you,
It's
sir.
what you ordered.
Appreciate it. Ooh, nice.
All right.
All
Cheers,
right.
y'all.
Cheers.
You gotta come to me.
cheers.
I got the T-Rex arms. Hope you remember. Gotta lean in. Oh yeah, gotta.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I'm gonna start our conversation with that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So the notes that I'm getting are. I'm just kidding. I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're here in this place with us.
I mean, every time we get to hang out, it's just this is what we do, right?
Well, yeah, not every time, but
Well,
yeah.
okay, not every time. Not every time. But.
Okay, so honest question here. This is gonna be a hard one. When I asked you initial thoughts, when I said, Greg, will you do a show about emerging leaders with us?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me your thought. Like, what did you think?
Well, I mean, look at my gray hair, right?
Yeah.
And the beard. So,
I mean, hello.
Yeah. Well,
We're in the same boat.
Of
Nice.
course, immediately I was like, well, I don't understand why you would want to talk to me about an emerging leader. And of course, that's typically my fallback. But yeah, I mean, I've been in the industry for a long time. And so I think that it was an interesting proposition for sort of the old guy to be talking about that. But I think the more we talked about the fact that, really in just the last couple of years, I started talking more and more about my career, understanding that I need to pass on the information, the wisdom, and things that I've learned in this career. It made a lot more sense, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. Any opportunity to share what we've been doing in the water business for many years, I think it's an opportunity to do that.
Well, I think it's also like you've been in this line of work for a couple decades. So
Thank you.
but like
I'm gonna Kevin Hart you. Damn.
you're not the general manager or director of utilities.
Yeah.
You didn't go that path. And so I think that helps us see that you can stay in as an educator, communicator, or whatever managerial level, and that's okay. And it's exciting that the last 5 or 6 years we've known you, you always talk about watching us grow, and we're like, oh, but we get to watch you grow. You went from just an educator
Yeah.
to a full team, and now you do facilitations of strategic meetings. You're leading the pack now, and you're inspiring a lot of people.
It's interesting you say that, and I'm thinking more about your leadership question. And one of the things I've always said, I've been saying for years, and I think we've got this wrong a little bit, that somehow or some way we think we have to advance up the ladder
Right.
in order to be a leader.
Yeah.
And that is completely wrong. And so the work that I've been doing for 17 years, 16 years, not in a managerial role, right? Not in a leader, in a head role within the utility.
Yeah.
But everybody recognized me as a leader in the organization.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I'm trying to let people know when they say, well, I can't advance within my utility, or I can't advance within my career, and so I'm gonna have to get out of the industry.
Right.
That's absolutely wrong. You
Yeah.
can lead where you are, and then when an opportunity comes along, if it's a managerial supervisor position or whatever, and you feel like it's the moment to take that
next thing,
opportunity,
yeah.
the next thing, then you do it, right?
Sure.
And that's really what I did. I never planned to be the manager of external affairs.
I know.
Never planned that.
Talked about that.
But honestly, I got to a place where I was kind of tired of managers coming in with new philosophies, and I said, it's my turn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if I'm gonna talk about leadership in a higher level, it's time for me to step up and do it. So.
But I also love your journey in the sense of, and this is why I really wanted to bring you to our table here, is because you didn't say, well, maybe you did at first, but you never have publicly said, well, it's too late, or I'm past my time, because and that's what I call you, like a late blooming emerging leader, because I feel, to your point, you can lead from wherever you're at, whether that's whatever position you're at, whether that's whatever stage in your career you're at. Like, it's kind of always your turn, like Seth Godin's book that we love.
Yeah.
But I really loved the idea that, when we first met you, you were like, I'm going to be an education coordinator till I retire. And then, we said, sure, we accepted you as you were and what you wanted. But I mean, we also
Had this conniving plan the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know,
So it's your fault.
Yeah.
we whisper campaigned you, so we like reverse
Yeah.
engineered your
Ooh, I like that.
we reverse engineered you, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're like, well, I think I'm gonna apply for this external affairs.
I remember where I
position."
was.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
where I was when you were like, I think I'm going to apply. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
That was
Cool.
big.
Yeah, yes, it was for me, and I think it was just a new opportunity, and the timing for me was right.
Yeah.
I was in a place where I said, you know, like I said, I spent a lot of time thinking about, journaling about, do I even want to put my name in the hat? And
Yeah.
it's interesting. My boss, I didn't tell him that I was applying, and he got all of these resumes, and he was going through the resumes. And he calls me into his office and he says, "Hey, sit down." Closed the door, and I was like, "Uh-oh." And he said, "You never came and told me you were applying for this. Why didn't you tell me?" And I said, because I want to get this not based upon the fact that you
Right.
know me, but based upon the fact that you think I'm the right person for this position.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go through this the right process, the right way, and I'm not going to try to skip any steps. And so, yeah, I think at any time, it doesn't matter your age.
Yeah.
And even if you're getting ready to a place that maybe you're closer to retirement, leaders are always learners, and you're not really a leader if you're not continuing to grow. When you stop growing, you're in trouble.
For sure.
Right? So I got to a place where I was like, look, I'm still growing. I still have a lot to offer. This needs to be my
Yeah.
opportunity to pass that along
Okay.
and to share that. Yeah. And so that's why I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I did it.
Well, I mean,
And
the
y'all
industry
whisper.
is better for it, you know, that you're now more nationally involved, and you're probably way more requests to do things than you had ever gotten before. I'll take full blame
Y'all,
for that.
I am giving you full credit. Y'all full credit for
I
this.
said blame, you said credit, so I'll take
Okay.
it. But I
Either
wanted to ask something, because you posed this question before the strategic session, the TAWWA strategic session we did. You gave us a bunch of homework, and one of those homework assignments was asking people who knew you 3 words that they would use to describe
Yes.
you. So I'm gonna let you didn't know I was gonna make you do this,
Nope.
but so I'm gonna let you phone a friend, and Ariane, you can help if you need it. But like, what would be the 3 words that you would use to describe yourself?
Wow, great question. It's always harder to talk about yourself, which is
Exactly.
why I did that exercise
Yeah.
of asking friends to tell me about myself. I think one of the things the first word that I like to use is passionate. I don't take things on incrementally or a little bit. Like when I decide to dive into something, I dive fully into it. Got that from my dad. My dad is the type that just dives into things, and so I've always been that way. And so I have real passions, certain things along the way. I also think that I would hope that people would say that I'm caring, because that's really one of my core values personally.
I don't know. Do you agree? Just kidding.
As my pastor, yeah.
Well, I want people to know that I genuinely care for them, right? I think as I've gotten older and as I've gotten further in this industry, this is going to sound strange. I don't want to say it's not about water, but it's less about water and more about the people in water,
sure.
right? And so I want to know people's stories. We were joking a while ago about my 45-minute conversation with my Lyft driver yesterday.
Yeah.
It took about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden he's like sharing his entire story, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I like to do. I like to hear people's stories. I like to understand a little more about them. So I think caring, I want people to know that I'm caring. And gosh, a 3rd word, Ariane, you want to give me one?
Oh,
Putting
let's
you
see.
on the spot now.
I gave loving,
Mm.
caring, genuine is like that you genuinely do care is a big one. When you said that, I was like, yeah, 3, 2.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
I think I
Yeah.
called you. Didn't I call you a rebel? Or I called you a muse.
Oh.
Yes.
A muse.
Yes.
Contrarian.
Yeah, because I had
Ooh,
to
and a
ask you.
contrarian,
I had to
too.
ask you what that was.
Why,
I was
yeah.
like, "Why unpack that for me? What do you mean by that?"
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, for all the credit you give us for getting you out there, you have equally empowered us, especially at the very beginning of the rogue journey, and feeling that, because we're like, who cares what we have to say? Who are we? And you're like, everybody cares that you have to say, ladies, and you're such a great.
Yeah.
You're not a cheerleader. Better than a cheerleader. Definitely a muse.
Encourager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? You just gave us 3 words that describe you, but what do you think are things that people either don't get about you or maybe misunderstand, or you know, where they miss the mark in knowing Greg?
Yeah. I think and I think a lot of us would probably say this, I do believe I'm sort of a complex person. I'm a little bit.
I would agree.
Yeah. You know, I think in some respects, what you see with me is who I am. Like, you know, you get to know me, you're like, this is kind of who I am, right?
Yeah.
But then if you're wanting to go deeper, there's this whole deeper side of me that I am willing to go way, way, way deep. And we've talked about it like basement and sub-basement level, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people like to get to that. They'll be okay with getting to that basement level of conversation.
Yeah.
I like to go really, really deep with that. And with guys, honestly, it's really difficult to find guys who want to go really deep. Like you'll figure out real quick. It's about, you're talking about the ball game, right? You're talking about sort of surface stuff. And then you might drop a little bit deeper, but then you can always tell when somebody gets uncomfortable because they change the conversation real
Bring it
fast.
right
Shift
back
in the
to
chair.
oh, that was a strike.
And what I like to do is I like to try to go, yeah, that's interesting, but then I like to try to dive a little bit deeper to really figure out kind of who people are. And I think that's how I am, right? I think what I am misunderstood about is that I'm kind of a laid back, you know, guy, and I am, but I feel emotionally very deeply.
Yeah.
And I am willing to spend time with people. You know, that's one of the things that people I think also misunderstand. They're like, well, I'm never going to go talk to Greg because he's so busy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is one of the things I want people to know right off the bat, right? We're all busy, but my life's purpose is to pour into people.
Yeah.
I am never too busy for other people.
Yeah.
I've
That is
screenshot that
priority.
text that you also sent to me. Like
As a reminder to
yeah,
yourself.
like, oh yeah, Greg's never too busy for me.
That's my priority, right?
Yeah.
Like I will put work aside for the fact if somebody calls me and says, hey, I just need a few minutes of your time. Yes, because this is the work that I'm involved with.
You know,
right?
my few minutes is a few hours.
It's totally fine. That's totally fine. Now, we
Block
may have
out the
to,
rest of the
we may have,
afternoon.
yeah, we may have to do it, you know, over a
Did
drink or
he
something.
cancel his
but-
appointment? Maybe.
Yeah, but I think that's probably the thing that people, you know, we were joking a little bit last night at dinner and talking about the homecoming queen scenario.
Yes.
I think we were talking about that.
We
that
were.
The homecoming queen is never asked out because the homecoming queen is untouchable,
Sure.
right? And my best friend in high school was the homecoming queen, and she used to always say to me, like, nobody ever asks me out. I will go out with people if they'll just ask me.
Yeah.
Well, not to say that I'm homecoming queen, but I will say that a lot of times I think people will say, I wanted to talk to you, but I didn't ask you because I know you're busy.
Yeah.
And again,
so intimidating
I'm
as
never, well, I hope not.
Golly,
I hope
yeah.
not.
But when you come down from doing these great facilitations, you know, I wasn't intimidated by you, obviously, because after we met, I fangirled for 20 minutes, and you were very polite and smiled and accepted me for my nerdness. But, you know, for some people, it's,
probably-
and for some people that really is act is not the right word, but, you know, we've been at conferences where we've been nerding out about
What they say.
what they're saying.
and then they come down off the stage or whatever, and they're like, all right, I gotta go. And I'm like, oh, so you're not as cool as I thought you were
Oh,
on
yeah.
stage.
or just
you
not
know?
as animated,
Yeah.
you know, like even Tom Hickman, who now is a dear friend, has even shared that this is an engineer, 20 years in his career, standing up in front of a room full of other engineers and utility executives saying, communications is important, you gotta do it, you gotta invest in it, yada, yada, yada. I went to 9th District Court because of it. And we're just like the whole time,
Oh my
like
God.
front row,
The only
just
two
like,
people were
"Yeah!"
just like silent clapping,
Yeah.
cheering.
So you can imagine what we were like when
Yeah.
we went up to him afterwards.
Yeah.
And he was like,
just-
what is this?
it's not every day that engineers have people come and like totally geek
Two
out.
30-year-old women
Well, but
coming
I
in.
also think it's the water space too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not traditionally been the
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
In our business, and so to have
Yeah.
somebody, I don't know. You get up on stage and you talk and you do a presentation and you're like, well, this is what I do. And then to have the validation of people to
Yeah.
come up and say, I want to pick your brain. I love what you said. That honestly, in the years that I've been doing this, that's a new phenomenon. Like, I don't know if it's a younger people in the industry,
Yeah.
but I've never seen that before. So, and then maybe you two
It's
were
weird.
part of the catalyst to help, tell people it's okay to do that, right? So,
It's like, so we don't even realize we're doing it, and what other people might see behind us.
Yeah.
But we're genuinely like in awe of what you just said, or excited about what you just said.
Yeah.
And I never thought about, like, what is everyone behind us, like, what are they doing over there?
Yeah.
What is that
You're
like
asking
for
for the
the
damn autograph?
person receiving that excitement?
Because, like, everyone else might be bringing their business cards.
Yeah.
And we're just like, no, we don't want all that. We just want you to, like, know that we just, like, really enjoy
We want you to be on the podcast. We want you to come hang out with
Yeah.
us. What are
Yeah.
you doing? Can
Yeah.
we grab a drink? Like,
Yeah.
So I get it. But I love that you use passionate as one of your words to describe you, because that's a word that resonates with me. And in my work experience, I learned that my metaphor is that passion is like the sun. We all need a little bit to stay healthy and to live, but too much and you can burn other people.
So true.
Because there was a time in my career when I wasn't as in tune with who's in the room and what level of excitement that they're also with me at. And going through that, learning that, I would say is probably one of the most challenging times in my career. Like, I almost quit. Her inviting me to CPC is the reason. Certified Public Communicator course at TCU was probably what kept me.
And the only reason why I invited you, honestly, is because I was too scared to do it myself. I needed you to go with me, I needed a buddy.
So, like, do you have a similar experience of, just a really tough time? Maybe it was just a day, or maybe it was like a tough slump in your, because of maybe those misperceptions about who you are.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think that really leading up to about the time that we met, which was, I don't know now, what, 8
We were trying to figure
years
that
ago,
out.
7, 8
6
years ago.
It's gauge around your kids. So how old you?
2015, I had them then.
So,
2014.
somewhere around that time, I'm in the middle of my career, right? And I'm, and I'm doing the work, and I love the work that I'm doing, but we talked a little bit about this earlier, that you just got to kind of get to a point where you start saying, well, I'm not sure what impact I'm making, right? I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I know I'm doing stuff for the community, but I'm just not really sure where I'm going. Maybe I'm just looking toward retirement.
Driving that bus.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where I think one of the issues lies within our industry. We have YPs.
Yes.
We have a lot of stuff for brand new people coming into the industry, and people are excited coming into the industry. But somewhere in that 10, 15 year mark, when things kind of settle in, there's not much. There's not really much leadership development. There's not really a lot of encouragement. There's not a lot of that. So yeah, honestly, I was kind of like, well, the work we're doing in San Antonio is fantastic, but I'm just not sure, is that it, right? Is this it? And then, like, I met you two, and you two had this message of like, of saying we need to spread this word, we need to get out there, we need to create a revolution.
Yes.
And honestly, I think what happened in that was I began to find for the very first time sort of my tribe of people, right? And I said that at the end of Catalyst, that when Catalyst 1 was finished, I felt for the first time in a long time that I had actually found my people.
I felt exhausted.
Well, yeah.
Also that I found my people.
It was absolutely true.
Just kidding.
But I remember
Also that
thinking
I
to
found
myself, like, I feel a part of something now, a group of people that we're all kind of about the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I had felt that before. It's hard to fit in as a communicator, educator within this business.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a tough, trying time for me. And I wasn't quite sure how, like I said, I'm just going to sort of get to retirement. That changed everything. That was a fire that kind of got lit underneath me.
Yeah.
I think I began to say, I think there's more to this, and so there's you two and other people that we've been able to hang around with now and just glean some inspiration and encouragement from.
Well, I want to add that you felt that feeling, and we felt our own feelings about that. I would say that my connection with them was, I thought it was as strong as maybe what you're saying, But it wasn't until this past TWWA
Yeah.
meeting that I felt, oh, this is what Greg's talking about.
Yeah.
Because, and I
And
that's
you got
something
really
I want.
emotional with that.
Yeah, teared me up.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that it's just because Greg felt it and we felt it light, or I felt it light, doesn't mean that it, like, if you didn't feel it yet, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, like, tell me more. What do you mean? Like, which feeling are you specifically?
This, like,
You mean the last
connection.
meeting that we had? Oh, okay.
This, like, and I'm grateful that you felt it when you did, because you immediately started working with that group on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to just do strategic planning. What are we going to do this year? How many memes are we going to put out, or what are we going to talk about? I want to pour into you individually. And I felt that work that you had done with all of us as a group, I felt like we all kind of got a little bit deeper and a little bit more connected. I'm like genuinely wanting to get to know a lot of these people on a much deeper level now.
Yeah, on a personal level.
Ooh, yeah, that was
that's
really
like
cool.
a big deal for you, because you're generally like, I'll see you when I see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, totally. You know, if we have a drink, we'll get deep and it's cool. But, like, you know, I'm okay if this goes years before I hear from you again. You know, I mean, that's just me. That's just the way I was raised. And this time I'm like, no, I want to know what Josh Sindehar's doing today.
So do I.
I want to
know what Josh's doing right now.
Right
Like,
now.
let's text him.
Yeah, like
Invite
I need
him to
his
the table.
number, yeah.
Helen and Karen, everyone. You know, I'm just like, Christiane, is something happening that you know, like you stepped down or you moved to the side a little bit? Like, I want to know more about you on a personal level. You know, just all of those, you know, and I think it happened when it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't need to feel that deep connection, Catalyst 1.
Yeah.
It was after Catalyst 4 and all of your work that you did too, so.
Well,
Cool.
and again, I think that there is a lack of that within our business, and I think that there are people we're finding there are people who want that.
Yeah.
You know, they want that deeper connection, and so y'all know me. I look around and I say, you know, who's going to do that?
Yeah.
Right. And then the
Ding, ding, ding,
I
ding,
know
ding.
the fingers are always pointing at me, and I
Always.
just go, okay, well then I'll create something.
Yeah.
I'll start something. I mean, y'all know I love to start stuff.
Yeah.
And so
You do like to start some
I
stuff.
do love to start things. So, you know, I think that you see a need. You know, you asked a tough day or a tough time, and I think I want to speak to those that are about my age, that are in the industry, that right now are feeling the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they're like, I don't know what I need to keep going.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to say is, I think what you need is better connection, and to find people that you're more connected to,
Right.
and not just you see them once a year at a convention or a meeting or a conference, right? And again, I know people are like, well, I have my friends and I have my family, but I'm talking about people that have the same passions in terms of serving the community the way we do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's
because
important.
I can't sit down with my family like this and be like, so let's talk about public outreach. You know,
No,
they're
absolutely.
like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
You know?
No, it's true.
But I could sit down with any of those people, mentioned and unmentioned, like,
Well, they speak your language.
yes. And it's
Yeah,
a
that's a
beautiful
good
thing to
Good point.
get to
speak your
vent and talk
language.
about. And, you know, I mean, we spend our whole career literally banging our head against the wall, being told no, lots of red tape, negative calls, negative things. Why not connect with each other and embrace each other in that way?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So how
agreed.
do you think that we obviously push and pull one another, but bigger picture, how do you think we can, I guess, how can we bottle and package what we did to
Right.
you, basically? How can we
Oh.
find the other Greg?
did you just create another product?
I did. Cool. I did. It'll be on sale. Check out the swag store. Like, how can, from your perspective, how do you think that we can do that and pull that out of others and give them permission to
Yes.
like just be authentically themselves?
Yeah, I do think, and I know it's going to kind of sound cliche, but I think you're already well underway in doing it.
Give me another answer.
Sorry, but you are. I mean, in terms of this kind of conversation
Yeah.
that people are going to be able to listen into and hear what we're talking about, I think the fact that y'all are on the circuit of talking and you're being asked to come speak at these conferences and places. The only thing I would say to those that are in the industry that have been there for a long time is, let's just be real for a second. They pick up the conference program, they see a session on communication or whatever,
Yes.
and they go past. And they just go, I don't need to go to that.
Yeah.
And whoever's hearing this, I want to be encouraging to them to say, do not pass that by.
Yeah.
Because you're not just getting a session on communication.
No.
You're getting a session on what passion looks like within this industry.
Yeah,
And you
that's a
might
good
find a
point.
place to connect with other people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because I don't
Get
think
outside your box.
right, because you two never just talk about communication.
Never.
No.
Never. It always
We
goes
do tarot card readings.
all that, all the stuff that y'all dive into.
Yeah.
We have, we sit here and have conversations like this.
Absolutely.
So I do think that y'all are already underway in doing that. I think from kind of a mass audience sort of perspective, but this is not going to come as any surprise to the two of you. I also believe it's important for y'all to continue to take people individually under your wing.
Yeah.
And to personally talk to them and share with them. And what we need more than anything is we need time with people, genuine time,
Yeah.
and a feeling that somebody cares.
Yeah.
And that's hard
Right.
because you're busy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're like, I got 5 minutes and I got to be on a plane. So maybe set up a time where you can talk to them on the phone. I mentor a younger engineer, and we try to talk on the phone. And it's funny because she'll apologize, like, I'm sorry I'm taking so much of your time. And I'm like, no, like, let's talk this through. And it always starts with work, and it always ends up in a whole lot of other stuff, right? And so I think it's just continuing to encourage other people to be the same way.
Yeah. Just be a little vulnerable too.
We
Don't
need
always
to
just talk
be-
about work.
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I ain't.
that's where the connections are really made.
Yeah.
And for those that are in the industry that are 50 plus,
You know who you are.
you know who you are. It's time for you to get your head out of your rear end and start mentoring people.
I thought we were about to get a cuss word out of
Well,
Greg.
Bam.
I,
Right out the gate.
all I'm saying is when I keep saying it's your turn, like I'm tired of like,
Yeah.
we've got to stop. The older generation has got to stop saying I'm just sort of living until I retire and holding all the
Just trying to
knowledge
make
and the
it-
wisdom. It is time to pass along the wisdom and the knowledge to
Yeah.
the next generation. And I have really high expectations for our industry because of what I see
Same,
coming in. Yeah.
What I guess my call to action is like, this is not like because I'm arrogant in any way, but when I ask you, how are you doing? I don't want you to say I'm fine. I don't want you to say,
Good.
I'm just really busy. Tell me it's a loaded question all day long, and let's, when you're ready, let's go deeper. But like, I'm tired of everyone being just so like, well, I cannot show emotion. I cannot be vulnerable in any capacity because what do they want from me?
So I'm going to layer onto that because I want to say, yes, don't just say busy, but for me, that's really hard. So if you ask someone and they say, oh man, I've been super busy, say, cool, what have you been up to? Like, tell me more. Ask more questions
Yeah.
because in my mind, to your question, everyone thinking, oh, Greg's always busy. In my mind, I'm like, they don't want to hear about all this shit I'm doing. Like, so ask. But if you ask me, I'm happy to talk about it. Whereas like some people, you just say, how's your day? And they'll be like, oh, well, let me tell you, I got da-da-da. I mean, that's very much your style. Whereas like I'm a different style where I'll one word you. And then if you don't ask, then I just assume you're not interested. And I'll just move along with my day. So yeah, I think asking it and being open to when someone says, cool, tell me more about that, then not being like, no, just really busy.
Yeah. Well, we live and I think we live in a world too that I love that point where we say, how are you doing? We don't really, I think a lot of us don't really care.
Have it, yeah.
Well, I don't think we care. Like that's just something we say, right? So be ready if you're gonna say, how are you doing? Be ready that somebody may come back and say, well, let me unpack that
Be ready
and
for
tell
this.
you. Be ready for that. And so,
You're like, can we go get a drink right quick while we have this? I gotta,
Yeah.
How much time you got? Like,
so it goes both ways. And I I recognize the fact that people sometimes want to talk. I think people want to talk. I do. I really, I don't know. It's just, this is my life. I tend to find people that I just can say a few things to them and all of a sudden
For sure.
we're having an entire conversation about everything that's going on.
Guilty.
But that's what makes life interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
getting to know people. So
I just saw this thing in that Design Your Work Life book that we looked at in Catalyst, where it said interested is interesting.
yeah,
And for, curiosity is one of our
Yeah.
core values and just is a part of my DNA in general. So just that natural curiosity of, no, tell me more. I want to know more. And, if it's not the right time, if we're passing each other in the hallway, I don't expect you to turn back and,
sure.
yeah.
Family,
Tell
it's
me-
like the had a baby, it's a boy.
Yeah. Belly had a baby, it's a boy. That was my favorite beer, by the way, at another favorite spot that we go to. But I don't know if you know this, but I'm a huge Hamilton fan.
Really?
Didn't know.
That is surprising.
Wow.
That's
Really?
I've not heard that.
Tell me more.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's on my vision board. But, one of the lines in that play is, legacy is a garden you plant seeds in that you never get to see. And I want to know,
Ooh.
as a leader, as that emerging leader, from your vantage point, what you want your legacy to be.
I don't think this will come as a complete shock either. I want people in our, and you're talking about legacy within our sector.
Either or, give me whatever.
Whatever. I think within our water sector, I want people to recognize the fact that, here's the shocker, they have to start with why.
Oh.
It begins with that.
Curveball.
Right? That's what I want. That's what I want people. That's the legacy. I want people to, and I think you said it at Catalyst, that Greg Wukasch is sort of the why guy.
The
of-
why
of
guy,
sort of
not
water.
the yes man, the why guy.
The why guy of water. I think why is the right question for everything
Yeah.
we do. I think it's, first of all, why am I in this business to begin with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Why do I serve the people I serve? Why do I think water is so interesting? And when you start with that question, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Every time I want to do a new initiative, every time I'm asked to speak at a conference, every time I'm asked to start, serve on a board or whatever, I always ask the question, why would I want to do this?
Yeah.
Right? And so I want my legacy kind of in the water business to be that guy that challenged the industry to continually ask themselves, why are we doing what we're doing? And I think that's incredibly important.
One of the things that you really helped us with is that ask why, and it doesn't have to be this amazing reason.
Absolutely.
The point
Absolutely.
is that you ask the question.
That's right.
Right.
So, because as you were talking, why am I doing this? Why are you doing that? And in my head, I was like, because Stephanie asked me to. Well, if that's the only reason, that's fine. But at least you know what the reason is.
Or
you
if
know?
it's because I like my paycheck, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That is okay.
Absolutely it is. Yeah, but we don't ever get to that point, do we?
No.
Like we don't take the time to just, and that's why I journal so much, right? Because I have to constantly be writing down, well, what has just come to my mind about why I'm doing this? So I can go back later and there are sometimes I get on things and I go, I had the wrong why,
Yeah.
right? Or I shouldn't have done this, or I didn't ask the question. And that's why maybe I went off this out of this group as fast as possible.
Curse Stephanie.
Why I think for the water business is really important. And I think legacy just personally, I want people to walk away at the end of the day. I've said this before, on my tombstone or epitaph or whatever you want to say, I want people to know that I loved them. Not that I cared for them, but I loved them.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And I think in this world, I not to try to get too mushy with all of that, but I think in this world that we are so busy and we're so running around so much that we don't just take enough time to say somebody knew me and loved me, and that's what I want to be known for.
Well, when
So,
you're loved, you feel seen.
I love that you say that because you've said that so many times, and I really process that in a different way, and I that's so true. You
Yeah.
do feel seen. And I think that's really, really important in humanity. Y'all know I just got back from a solo Disney World trip for 6 days, And I know it shocks people when I tell them that. They're like, seriously, you went to Disney World for 6 days? Yeah, I did,
By
by myself.
Yeah.
And you know, people have asked me, well, why? And first of all, I think y'all know Disney World is my place of generating creativity, and it just rejuvenates me. But I sat on benches for so long and watched people in such a hurry.
Yes.
In such a hurry. And I had one custodian walk over to me. I was journaling, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm drawing what's in front of me, and I'm journaling." And he said, "You're at Disney World, and that's what you're doing? Like, why aren't you running off?" And I said, "Because that's your expectation, right? Everybody's just running around."
Well, frugal fannies and us want to get that penny's worth. You
Sure.
know?
Don't get me wrong. I wanted to
Like, do you know how much Mama just spent on this? We gone.
You gotta get Greg to plan. They got a $58
yes.
hotel or something like that. Yeah.
Great deal.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring this up is because it allowed me, one of the things I learned so much from that was slowing down, being in the moment, and being intentional where I was. Not only I could see things from a different vantage point.
Yeah.
And I was able to, in that moment, see people rushing around, grabbing their children. I watched a family knock a little girl down to the ground, flatten her, because they were trying to get somewhere. Didn't stop, didn't say I'm sorry. They just went. And it gave me a vantage point to sit back and go, okay, this is what I do not want to be coming home.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm going to bring that to the water space for just a second, because you shared all of that, and then that day we got in a car and we drove to a conference. And I intentionally, that 24 hours I was there, let myself think about what parts of this do I enjoy? What parts of this is giving me bubble guts? What parts of this am I genuinely excited about? And just to kind of bring that what you experienced to my own little space, even just for a few minutes, and then journaled it and saying like, I had a really good moment for this.
So happy
I know.
for you.
I know. You know, I experienced this, and maybe it's nothing more than just those few sentences, but just to start going, okay, because I work up in my head how big this going to a conference is for me, and how hard it is for me and my family and all these, you know. But now I can go back and be like, but I really enjoyed that connection I made with so-and-so. I really enjoyed that I got to sit down by someone I haven't seen in 6 years. Abby.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was like, well, I was just,
forgot about that.
I haven't got a Christmas card in a minute. And I'm like, oh, because I didn't give her my address. I didn't tell her I moved, you know? So she's still probably sending them to my old home.
Probably is, yeah.
And I'm like, man, I haven't connected with some of these people in a long time. And also, this was the first conference post-COVID. And I'm like, so it was, I want everyone to start doing that too. Just like, what about this thing that I'm experiencing is really cool, and what sucks, you know.
Well, it's very mindful too, and being very present in the moment. But you know, I know everyone views age different. I know everyone views success, career path, like we all have our different metrics. But I just, I really appreciate you being willing to share kind of your own journey, because I think I really want people to walk away and feel like it's never too late. It's always your turn, and it's never too late. So I really this has been awesome. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Oh.
Cheers.
Anytime we get together and just, I mean, this is kind of what we do. I mean, like we said earlier, it doesn't necessarily always revolve around beer, but the conversation, I think, is always very similar.
Right.
And that's what I enjoy so much. I know y'all have different conversations with different people about different things, but when I get with y'all, I know I can, this is the
let your hair down?
Yeah. Well played.
But
Well played.
I'm here all day.
Yeah.
All right.